What's up, everybody? This is the Rabid Hedgehog, and I know it's been a bit since been out here, but this is a strange and unprecedented time in the history of the entire world with this whole thing going on. And well, with the job that I have, it's basically all hands on deck, and we have to be there still. So it is one of those deals where it made it a little bit harder to do these videos and be with you guys. But here I am today on a beautiful, beautiful day out here today, and hopefully being able to talk to you guys about a passion, of course, and that is, of course, motorcycles. That's what this channel is about. That's what Rabid Hedgehog has been about his entire time on YouTube here. So the biggest thing is I want to make a disclaimer. The title is going to clearly say beginning part of how to ride a motorcycle and some of the basic controls and things of that nature. I want to let you guys know, and I want to stress this is going to be first person, so I'm going to have it mounted to the helmet and go through it like you guys are riding. Second, this is not a replacement for any formal training. Please do not use these YouTube videos as a way to make yourself licensed and all that stuff. Use it as a guide on how to do it, and that way when you get your formal training you can put it all together. So please do not let this replace an MSF course or a safety course of any sort that your country or state or whoever may provide it. Please still go get one of those. It's very important as a motorcyclist to do everything you can to be safe out here, because motorcycling is fun but dangerous. Serious but fun is what the organizations may say. So at any rate, some of these organizations also have a lot of acronyms, and I'll be using those today as well. So I know I've done a video on how to ride a bike or a motorcycle before, but I just want to stress that I want to do this a little bit more as a more experienced rider and also a credentialed coach as well. So I just want to let you know, like I said, please do not replace any formal training with this video. I'll stress that one more time. So during this time of social distancing and isolation and everything, you might want to pick up a new hobby. And for some of you, it might be motorcycling. Motorcycling is a very addictive and fun thing to do. Today I have Val out here to be a demonstrator of motorcycling because of some of these acronyms and because of some of the things you may find. Remember, some motorcycles may be completely different and may be easier. Basically, Val is a standard motorcycle with a mid-mount control system and buckhorn style handlebars, almost a cruiser, but not quite. Usually cruisers would have a more forward mounted position on their controls, but this one is mid-mount, so it's kind of a halfway in between. So that's why I chose this bike too, is because it is that nice comfortable motorcycle. So step one as to being on a motorcycle and to be a rider is assess yourself and assess how you feel at the moment and how your health is. So if you've twisted your ankle or messed up your knee or done something that will distract you away from the safety and the rules of the road or anything, or if in an emergency you have to do something and your body's just not able to at that moment, I stress, don't get on the bike. Leave it alone. If you're mentally not ready, if you're physically not ready, leave the motorcycle alone. Motorcycling is great, but if anything is wrong and you're not able to think straight, or you're not able to respond correctly with your body to avoid a situation, then I recommend staying off the motorcycle. That is going to be the first safety tip this time. The second thing is, how ready are you in general? The biggest thing is are you wearing gloves? Are you wearing, if you can hear me tap on that, a helmet? How about long sleeves? Now this is a mesh jacket. It is warm today, but it has nice armor in it and in the shoulders and in the back plate and stuff. So are you wearing appropriate riding gear to ride? You don't want to just go out with a bandana. That doesn't save your life. You don't want to go out there in designer pants that are going to fall apart. You want to at least have heavy grade denim. That's the bare minimum. Now here's the thing, this isn't going to save you either. Even though this is very thick denim jeans, at 70 miles an hour, these are going to last less than a second as you're sliding. Remember that. You want to make sure that you're wearing, this is the bare minimum, but you want to have maybe some riding pants lined with Kevlar or, other material that can handle the slide better. But this is the minimal. And that way, if rocks bounce off of you and stuff like that, it does at least deflect and doesn't end up in your shin or knee or anything like that as hard as it would if you're wearing thin pants or shorts or anything like that. At least there's some level of protection. Notice the boots. These are actually riding type boots. Notice they go over the ankle, and they actually go over very nicely. And the reason you want a stout boot with grippy soles, these are non-slick soles and oil resistant, is because you want to make sure that whenever you're on the road and you encounter something, say you get to an intersection and you need to put your foot down, obviously, to hold the bike up, if you hit that oily surface and slip out, 481 pounds is going to be on top of you in a hurry and may hurt. So you want to make sure that the shoes can handle that. And also, road debris bounces off quite frequently on your boots and on your feet, and it does hurt if you don't have proper gear on. Also, if you land wrong and your ankle gets bent out of shape because you don't have armored boot, remember, you're holding a lot of extra weight. That will also hurt. So you want to make sure that your feet are safe. You want to make sure your legs are safe. You want to make sure your body's protected. There's different amounts of armor you can put on the top. You want to make sure your hands are nice and protected. These Alpine Stars are CE1 level. So they have a nice leather palm, as you can see, double in the slide area, doubled up no matter where. So, and also cushioned. And also knuckle protected as well, so things bounce off, doesn't hurt as bad. You want to make sure that that's going to be good, because let's face it, if you're riding and you go to slide, your hand takes a long time to heal after sliding. Or when a piece of debris slams into you and you take your hand off the control, now you're not that safe because something hits you and you're sitting there shaking it off, and you don't want to be doing that while you're riding. You want to make sure you're protected there. And of course, a good helmet. I wear full face helmets for the most part. There are multiple different choices, and I understand it is your right to choose what you wear if you decide to wear one at all, but I always will recommend a helmet. Helmets save lives, and they're designed to hit on the ground and slide and take the impact for your head instead of your head digging itself into the concrete. So that is an important part, is definitely having a good helmet. Like I said, I prefer full face. I don't like half helmets. I don't like not being, protected from things in the eye level area and below. Basically, I want to make sure that my face can be covered by a face shield. My chin is covered if I fall and bounce off the concrete. And also road debris. I've been hit with rocks, birds, everything. I mean, when a bird hits you in the face, if you had a half helmet on, bad day right there. I don't care if you're wearing sunglasses or what, but if you are going to be wearing a half helmet, make sure you're wearing appropriate goggles that are designed for impacts, not designer sunglasses. Also, most of your riding glasses will have a gasket on there to keep dust and debris out of your eyes while you're riding. So after you're good, your physical and mental condition is good, you're in the proper gear, and you're ready to get on the motorcycle, you also want to make sure that the motorcycle is okay. Now, a daily checklist is what's called T-clocks. Tires and wheels, controls, lights, oils and other fluids, and then your chassis and your side stand. So that's what you're going to be making sure of when you're coming out here. You're going to hit the tires, make sure the pressures are correct. Many motorcycles will have something in here. In this motorcycle, you probably can't see it, but it actually says 28 pounds cold and 32 pounds cold of air. Most of your motorcycles will have it on the steering head, it may be on the swing arm, or it may be somewhere posted on the motorcycle, but it will give you minimal air pressures for your tires that you will need. Of course, you want to kind of fill it where the bike is done, because that's where it's tested at and all that good stuff. Don't fill it to the maximum on the tire, because if you fill it to the max on the tire, then when the tire heats up, that means it's going to go over its maximum air pressure and cause a problem, because it may cause separation, explosions, and all that fun stuff. That's why you don't fill it to the tire max. You fill it to what the bike says, and then as you ride, heat and friction build the air pressure in the tire, and then when you park it, the cool and everything contracts again. So remember, not the max on the tire. Check your motorcycle's manual or the steering head or the swing arm. Find where your pressures are. So that's the big thing. Make sure your wheels are in good use. Say if you had a spoke wheel, grab those spokes, make sure they're good, ring them. If they go thunk, that means you got a loose spoke and you need to get it tightened. If it rings, it's tight enough. Make sure your alloys aren't chipped or in bad shape or anything like that. These wheels are in good shape. I did all this before I came out here. You also want to kind of look at the brakes, make sure they're working correctly, make sure everything is good there. These are extremely squeaky because they're 41 years old and got some dust in them and all that fun stuff. So also you're going to want to look at your lights. So every motorcycle's lights, a lot of the times what I'll do is I'll go ahead and turn the ignition on for a moment. I'll check the high-low beam switch like that, and then I'll go ahead and check the turn signals. So you'll see I turned on the right. I'll back up to the, we're good there. We're going to go to the left. Left is good. We already checked the brights. To check the tail signal, it is a little bit harder. What I'll do, you can see how that lights up on my hand. So I know that's working from the front brake control. I'll lean over, do the same thing with the rear brake control, and you'll see that those lights are working fine. You also want to make sure that your dash indications are working correctly as well. You'll see my old stop lamp, my neutral light. It's very hard to see this high beam in the daylight. It only works really well at night, but it works at night. And then you want to make sure indicators are lighting up as well. So you want to make sure this is all functional as well on the surfaces. And of course you want to make sure your controls are working right as well. You want to make sure that whenever you pull in your brake, it doesn't suddenly come all the way to the grip there. You want to make sure that when you pull your throttle, it springs back easily. You also want to make sure your engine cutoff switch is going to work correctly. Now this bike is a little bit different. It's older. Whenever you turn this one to off, it'll actually still spin the starter, but it allows you to basically pump up the oil till the oil stoplight turns off, and that means you're ready to go. Then you put it to run, then you fire it. So it won't actually fire until you put it on run, but every bike is a little bit different. This one's older. Second one, you want to make sure the clutch is good and working freely. Of course, like I said, we've already gone through these, so that works. And of course, you want to make sure your horn is working as well. Also, you want to go through and make sure all the other controls and everything are working, like your chokes and everything. We've modified this one. That used to be the choke, but now we've got it down there. So you want to make sure all the controls are working. You want to make sure your transmission's shifting right. You want to make sure your brake lever's popping back up. You want to make sure everything is moving. Say you do this and suddenly it doesn't spring back up, you got a problem. If you do that, same thing. It doesn't spring back up, you got a problem. And of course, chassis and stands, you want to look around, make sure the nuts and bolts and everything are great and tight and ready to go. And you want to make sure your side stands are doing what they're supposed to do. Say you kick it up and it doesn't stay up, you need a new spring. You don't want this dragging around like this, because you make that left-hand turn, you start pogo sticking, it's going to be a bad day. That'll cause you to wreck. You also want to make sure if your center stand is, up in its right position as well, you want to make sure it's working correctly and not bouncing on the ground as you're riding. So that's going to be your chassis and stand. So you're going to make sure that the bike is good to go. You also want to make sure your other fluids are good. This, of course, the water-cooled bike. You can see right there, it is in a good spot on my fluid reserve, so we're good there as well. And then oil, it depends on the bike. Some are going to be dipstick, some is going to be sight glass. It's just going to be a very different thing. This particular one is a dipstick, but I'm not going to pull it like I said. It's right here. I'll leave it alone because I've already done that today. So the next thing, I'm going to go over the basic controls of the motorcycle. So when you come over to a motorcycle, you're going to look at the right side. That's what we'll start this time. This is basically power, delivery, stop, and go. So on most motorcycles, you're going to have an engine cutoff switch, and it's going to be different on every motorcycle. Some are a little thumb lever, some are like this one, some is built into the ignition system. So they're all going to be a little bit different, but some will look like this, some will look different. It's just going to be what you end up finding and how it's used. So on all motorcycles, though, they've all been standardized. This is going to be your throttle, twist the right grip. This is going to be the front brake. So you'll see this is front brake. That's what you'll do. And on this side is back brake. And then, of course, like I said, your engine cutoff switch and your starter button. Some motorcycles still may have a kick starter, and they will be up in this area somewhere. You'll see an additional lever come through that you'll pop out and swing down with your leg to kick start it over. And then you come over here, and this is power transmission. This is how the power gets to the rear wheel. So the clutch is not an on and off switch. It is literally something that a lot of motorcyclists should learn to use, so they don't just pop out and go. They need to learn how to go through the friction zone nice and easy, and then let it out and get through and be a smooth rider. This, of course, is going to be your transmission. Now, unlike a car, transmissions that are manual transmissions on a motorcycle are sequential. You'll notice on the side of the box here, it has 1, neutral, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So this motorcycle, and all motorcycles like it, you push down and you'll end up in first. You come a half step up and you'll end up in neutral. Full step, second gear, third gear, fourth gear, fifth, possibly sixth gear. And then you'll go back down to first, and that's how you do it. It's all sequential. Unlike a car where you can sit there and use the H pattern and jump around and make a different pattern every time, motorcycles are all sequential. So no matter what, you have to go through that gear to get to the gear you're going to. You can jump multiple gears at a time if you want to, but you have to make sure you go like 1, and if you really stretch it out, 2, 3. So you have to tap it up real fast to get up there, but might as well just do it in sequence. Another thing about this motorcycle is it is carbureted, and you'll see that it has a fuel valve. So fuel valves are going to come in 2 different flavors. You're going to have gravity type feed, which is this one here. You notice it says on, off, reserve. So right now it is in the off position. Just make sure on your fuel valve where the arrow is, and that's how it will operate. Pull it up for on, push it down for reserve, back for off. And if you notice, you might see the fuel right there kicked in right there, and then I turn it off and it backs off a little bit. Comes down to the bowl here. Now this one has chokes, so what this is it enriches the air fuel mixtures, so that way it's easier for this thing to start in the cold. If it's warmer, you don't necessarily have to use the choke. Depends on your motorcycle. And then on these petcocks, if you have the other kind, you want to make sure that if it says prime, and if it says prime on reserve, that is actually vacuum actuated, and vacuum actuated actually means that the motorcycle does not need this to be played with. Leave it on or reserve if you're running low on gas. Do not put it on prime at any time unless the bike has been sitting for a while. Turn it on prime. It will basically be a gravity fed feature just like this one, and that way it refills the carburetors with fuel to start once again. So just don't mess with those, but if you got one like this, make sure that you turn it off whenever you can. I know some people will leave them on, but if you leave that fuel on, it'll go down through the carburetor, go through the intake, and it's going to find the open cylinder to fill up, and then when the next time you go to fire, it'll be so freaking rich it won't A, start, or B, it's going to hydrolock, and you do not want to blow out a cylinder because you left your petcock on the whole time. So that's something you want to make sure you avoid whenever you are riding. Now that we've done all that, we've gone through the controls and how everything is, let's go ahead and let's climb up on the machine here real fast. All right, so not all motorcycles will have all these features. Of course, this is going to be an old style analog. So some have a trip odometer, some have all have a main odometer. Some will have a temp gauge, not all will. Some will have a tachometer, some will not. So temp gauge is going to be telling me what my engine temperature, coolant temperature is, and if I need to worry about it. Tachometer is going to tell me what my engine speed is. The higher you're getting here, you want to make sure these are in line, and that's what you're doing whenever you're shifting the transmission. You're matching the engine speed with the road speed, and that way you're in a better power band and you're not over here redlining this poor thing to death just trying to move. You're actually letting it work for you and get up to speed. Of course, all of them will have a speedometer in one way, shape, or form or fashion. Now, a couple of these other controls here, notice the left grip doesn't move. You'll have your high beam and low beam. On your turn signals, this could be different on other bikes. This one is so old, you just turn it, notice it doesn't move. You come back, and then you go left, and you come back. Most modern motorcycles is you click it and it will automatically center, and to cancel you press in on it. Some motorcycles you'll do that, you'll initiate a lean, you'll come back and the turn signal will cancel on its own. And then some of them, the buttons are here for each turn signal, and that's mostly going to be a Harley Davidson or bikes like those where they have the two separate turn signals that are going to be lower than your horn and your start button there. So whenever you're getting on a motorcycle and you're going to be starting it up for the first time, you've done your mental check, you've done your physical check, you're feeling good, you've done your T-clocks, you made sure the motorcycle is ready to operate, it is just as ready as you are. You want to go through a procedure to start the motorcycle, and that's called Fine C. Fine C stands for fuel, ignition, neutral, engine cutoff switch, and choke if it is available. So whenever we go to start this, what we're going to do, and I'm going to go ahead and get it off the stand, we're going to turn the fuel valve to on. So there's fuel. Ignition, turn key to on. And then you've got neutral. Now notice it has a neutral indication light, that green light. All bikes have a neutral indication, but it doesn't necessarily mean the bike is in neutral. Best thing to do to check to see if it's in neutral, go ahead, and if you're on your toes, roll back to your heel and back up to your toes again. And that way you know that the bike is truly in neutral. If I put it in first gear here, first off, you'll notice it says nothing there. Notice I can't get to my toes or anything. It literally just sits still. So that's why you want to check that, and that's why you want to give it a little bit of leeway. See that roll right there? You kind of go like that, and now you know for sure your bike is in neutral. Safer to start neutral because sometimes you pop that button, it's in first, it'll just take off on you. You don't want to do that. You also, sometimes some bikes have a clutch mechanism that will not allow it to start at all unless the clutch is pulled in. So if you have a false neutral and you don't know about it, you go to start it and you think you're neutral and you're finishing putting your gloves on or something like that, you pop it out, boom, again, you got a problem. So you just want to roll it on, make sure you found neutral. Engine cutoff switch, like I said, this one will set to on. And of course, choke. Bike is warm. I don't have to worry about it. This bike choke is here. There's actually two chokes. There's one there. Some bikes, or all bikes, are going to have just a standard choke lever somewhere. Some are here. Some are here. Some are here. Some are here. Look at your motorcycle operator's manual and find where that is. Another thing too, before we truly start this bike, make sure you have a nice comfortable stance on the motorcycle. When you're looking at these things and you're trying to find the right bike, feel the weight out. Every motorcycle is different at how they hold their weight. Some, like this bike, have a lot of weight up here in the top of the bike, and it's top heavy. So you'll feel that it's harder to pick up the stands, or harder to pick up off the stand, But it's pretty easy to balance once you get it up, but some people may not be able to use that strength to pick it up off the stand if it's that high. Lower center of gravity is going to be better for you, so find a bike that's lower center of gravity. Some will be that nice low, some are going to be too tall. You want to make sure, especially if you're a new rider, make sure you do have a bend in your knee and reach the ground flat-footed. And the reason being is because you have a lot more leverage with your body, that if this bike starts to fall over, you can push it back up with a lot less effort than if you're already up here and you're coming down, because by the time your knee gets to where it can bend and come back up, that bike is already an angle that it's too far it's a point of no return at that point, and you're going over no matter what. So you want to make sure you have a nice bike where you're able to get to the ground nice and easy, flat foot, and the more experience you get, yeah, you can get a taller bike and possibly do that, but especially your first bikes, make sure you got this. Make sure you're also clearing all this hot bit right here. You want to make sure you're clearing the exhaust pipes on each side, and also, just make sure it fits you. That's a very big important safety feature, is the bike fitting you in the long run. It means the seat height is good. That means the bend in your leg is good, the flat-footedness. You can move the weight around. Just means it works. And take a good time fitting a motorcycle. It's a big safety thing. All right, so we'll go ahead and we'll start this bike up. All right. You want to make sure that your gear, if you got a face shield, make sure it's in the down position, make sure you're safe and ready to ride. Now, as stated, motorcycles are sequential gearboxes. So you're going to pull the clutch in, and you're going to step down to number 1. Notice my neutral indication is off. Now watch this. This is the friction zone. Now we call this position 1. And as you go out, position 5 is fully released. So you'll see we're about position 2 to 3, and at 3 o'clock, there she goes. Notice the bike moved on its own. I'm going to go ahead and show you my foot. And I'm going to watch this as I go from, there's your friction zone. Notice that the bike is starting to move and it's starting to have me roll. You want to practice your friction zone. Everybody believes that you just pop these clutches and just keep going, and you really want to actually practice this. Another big thing you want to practice is having your head and eyes up the entire time you're riding. So when you're looking, you want to make sure you can operate all these controls without looking at them. You want to make sure that they're all part of your process. So if you need to make a right turn, you don't look at it. You just simply make a right turn, and then you return it. Need to make a left turn? Simply hit it, and then return it. Need to brake? Simply find and use. That's how you start out on a motorcycle. So I'm going to kind of end it here. I just want to make this the first part of a series of riding a motorcycle and getting you up to the point of getting on the bike, finding the friction zone, and feeling it running for the first time. So at any rate, keep your eyes on this channel as we go through these months, as we continue to make more how to ride videos and other videos and everything like that. There'll be a part 2 whenever it's made. I'll put a link to it in the description so that way you can find it easier, so that way we can continue this riding course together. At any rate, this is the Rabid Hedgehog. Keep that shiny side up, folks, and we'll catch you on the next ride. What's up, everybody? This is the Rabid Hedgehog, and once again, thank you for watching our videos. If you like what you see, please like, subscribe, mash that notification button. That way you get the latest content as it comes out from us. We are thankful for our viewers. We're also thankful for our sponsors. We have Law Tigers, motorcycle lawyers nationwide. Right now, they are out there riding with you because they are part of our community. But if you are in trouble and in need of assistance with any accident or any motorcycle law question, give them a call. They are at 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 1-844-533-2914, or visit lawtigers.com. Also, if you're looking to protect your engine with quality synthetic lubricants, give Doug Crawford a call. He's with USA Synthetics, distributing AMS oil products. He can be found at usasynthetics.com or 405-388-6170.
And if you're looking to protect yourself, protect your ride, or protect your house, whatever it might be, give Derek Enlow and Associates a call if you're in the Oklahoma area. He will be able to help you out and protect whatever you might have. Give him a call at 405-261-1010 or visit enlowinsurance.com. Once again, thank you for watching. Have a great day, and we'll catch you on that next ride.